Hello everybody, this is Gabriel. I just wanted to provide you a market update today on Monday morning. I had already provided you the trend scan for this week, right, on Friday. So now this is an update because something has happened. I've checked the markets on Sunday when they open at 5 p.m. at 6 p.m. Eastern time, and I've seen that silver has made a gap up. Right here on the 60-minute, we can see the gap up, or here on the daily. So it has basically made a 10% very early on. Why did that happen? Well, it has been running for this stop run level, right? I've sent out this video like mid of last week, and I was trading a very low time frame. I think it was a 15-second chart S1 on silver in order to trade that, right? This stop run. Well, this happened now. Basically over the weekend, so that's a Monday morning weekend gap. Well, this is how it goes. No hard feelings about that, right? So this is the gap. It gapped and then it started to run. So that's quite interesting. Well, you can see it in perspective here on the weekly, right? So it is really doing well. So this is well, the price has been more than doubling here with this move, right? Then it's consolidating, and now it's starting to build its second move. And I think we're right there in the start of establishing another one of such a leg. So we're looking for a doubling, right? A doubling means what we're going to see. We're going to threaten the last high in 2011 at around 50. No, sorry. Yeah, exactly. At around 50. 53. So let's see what's happening. Sometimes with doubling, yeah, sometimes I'm looking for we're looking for a measured move, right? This is the momentum move, and we're looking for a doubling. So sometimes I'm looking for a doubling in nominal terms. So that would be basically, yeah, $15. And sometimes I'm looking for a doubling on geometric, on a logarithmic chart. So there would be a relative percentage wise, right? So like 15, so that would be around, we would get somewhere here, 45, there would be a doubling, or we should go towards the 60. So that's basically the range, the target range. So silver might surprise everybody. That's what I'm expecting. That's what I'm communicating now for months. And we've seen this. This is the Corona scare spike. And since then, we're only going upwards. So there are a lot of stubborn levels. This whole thing on the quarterly, well, that's an S1 pattern, this whole thing, right? So these moves here, these are early moves within this pattern. And you know, it's not only breaking the high of a pattern. If it works well, it's going well beyond. And this is what we're looking for. We're basically looking for prices of 100 plus here. So what happens if we get a gap? Let's look at this chart, 60 minutes. So this is a gap that's nicely EMA trending, right? A very strong EMA trend. So this vertical line tells me, well, these are 30 bars from the right, and I can see all moving averages are nicely aligned and fanning out. So that's a strong EMA trend, but there's a gap. So how do we look at a gap? Well, a gap is nothing else. That's the Friday Saturday gap, basically Friday evenings and Sunday afternoon gap. So a gap is nothing else than one bar. You can fill it with a bar. Well, here a big green bar. That's it, right? Nothing else. Don't interpret too much into that. It's just a big green bar. So a big bar, well, that's great, right? It might actually be the start of a big of a nice trend. We've seen a big bar down here, right? A big green bar. That was the start of a nice trend. So now we see another big green bar. We actually see a series of green bars. So we've got one green bar that fills the gap, and we've got another green bar, well, today, which is another big green bar. Well, let's see whether that ends up big and green, or whether it falls apart. Well, nice thing now, we're right here at the consolidation high, right? So that's a huge stop run level, and we're getting there really close. So what we could see, well, we could see actually it break and price starts to run. It might even start to run here, and we might then come to this next stop run level at 30 38, or we might actually see, oh, price shies away from this level, right? It comes back, and it might even come back to the 21 here, or it might even come back to this horizontal line, which is a support and resistance line. So it's interesting to see what's happening now. So this being an EMA trend on the 60, that's the high frame. Well, then this is the mid frame, and this is the low frame, right? And we can see, well, this is an S1 pattern, right? And that's a test bar. It's not a very big test bar. I mean, there's another bar that is even bigger, but all other bars are small, right? And the definition for a test bar is, well, that it needs to be at least a 1.5 ATR, like an average of these bars. And there are a lot of small bars. So this is kind of borderline. This is okay. I think it's even bigger, right? Yeah. So this is basically a borderline test bar. It stands out, right? It's kind of slightly excitable. This is what we're looking for at minimum. It has nicely tested the 21. A strong trend here on the mid frame, so that's a plus, and a strong trend here on the high frame, so it's overextended, right? This is what I talk about. It's overextended. We are right here at the stop and level. That's a make or break trade. This has already achieved its 1.2 R. Right, and here are really nice stop run levels at the consolidation high, so we might see some nice things happening. This is an EMA trend as well, so this is an EMA trend, this is an EMA trend, so you can look 2 time frames lower. And what we see here on the 1 minute chart, well, this is an even better S1 pattern. This is a great test bar, right? And let's just draw here. I'm always drawing these lines, always. And you should do that too. And I draw it in the color of the direction, so that's a long pattern. So here we see a nice S1 forming up. Here we are testing 21. It's nicely trending. So in our kickoff call, I mentioned that you should actually use a second rule, a second requirement, that in the mid frame the momentum move. So this is the momentum move, right? This whole thing is the momentum move, and this is the high. That the momentum move high made a new high on the mid frame. Well, it didn't, right here. It didn't make a new high. So that's basically means, well, this pattern is within a mid frame overall sideways, because this one here, right? So that's the move, and that's the pattern. It's within overall sideways. So your win rate is lower, and your average R, if it starts to run, it breaks the consolidation high, and it breaks the overall sideways high. So you can expect a huge move. So again here, it's a make or break trade, right? Lower win rate, higher average R. You can trade those, right, on a demo account just to see what happens, but you should be aware, well, although it might look great, it didn't trigger yet, although it might look great, well, and everything looks good, well, it's generating a quick stop out. And that's how these things go. Or it might generate a 15R multiple, and you need to be psychologically prepared to digest that too, right? So that's why it's not easy to trade charts with mid-frame overall sideways. But I like that quite a bit. I might take a position here once and if it triggers. Just one more thing, gold. It's interesting that gold here, right, on the daily, it didn't move. So this is, both are correlated, but you can see correlation is, I mean, we have no pattern at all here, and it's not moving. So this is interesting, right? So something is going on with silver, and as well platinum. I like quite a bit platinum. Platinum is kind of, catching up with silver here. Really nice. All these are stop run levels up to the 200. We might get to the 200 soon, actually, in a couple of months. And this looks pretty bullish, right? And I really like that. Well, this looks like an S1 pattern, right? There's no test bar, but as you might remember, we can stack up bars. And the stacked up bar, well, you need to see that in one time frame higher. So let's have a look at here. Well, this is the bar, right? This red bar. This red bar is a stacked up bar, and it's excitable. It's much bigger than the other bars of the consolidation. So this looks pretty, this looks okay for an S1. It's a negative, it's a stacked up bar, but we are not trending here, right? This is your high frame. We are not trending. It's not an EMA trend. It's not a super trend. So this is it's nice to see how they start to develop, but they're not fulfilling the rules, right? Same here. That looks like a really nice S1 test bar, right? We've got a test bar following. The green bar is another test bar, even better than the red one. We are not trending, right? And we can see, we don't see a lot of great follow through. So you should be really, because your starting point is always the trend. You start from there and then you look for a pattern. You don't go for a pattern and then you fit the trend. No, it's quite the opposite. So I think we're going to see good moves in metals this week or these months. Let's have a quick look at gasoline, because I mentioned that in my last trend scan. So gasoline here, we're not specifically looking at super trends, right? But this is a super trend. That's a great example of a super trend. So if that's a super trend, then you can look, just to mention that, you can look for a S3 pattern, right? I don't trade this because that's a vertical pullback. So just you have heard, your focus should be on S1 now. But this being a super trend, where you can look for S1 patterns on the 60-minute, and we might actually have something developing here. Let's have a look at that. Okay, I'm just trying to draw the base here on this 60-minute chart, and I've got some difficulty. So difficulty meaning, well, it should be obvious, right? What we're looking for. So it could be here, right? It could be here, or it could even be higher. But if it's higher, then there's too much price activity below. I don't like that a lot. So basically, the best fit line is here, right? Get a touch here. We get some nice touches here and here and here. We even get touches here. So if that's the case, do we have a test bar? Well, not on this chart, right? There are a lot of big bars, but we don't really have a test bar. Let's see if there's a stacked up bar in one time frame higher, which is this one. Well, the test bar is this big, right? So it's basically, we stack those all up. Well, if that's the test bar, then entry would be up here. So entry would be up here and stop down there. So that already tells me, well, with this entry, it doesn't make sense, right? So I can ignore it, and this is it. So let's see what comes out of this, and there are many other opportunities going on, right? So Monday is a slow day. Just start slowly, check the markets for what it's doing, how it's behaving. And here another example. This is a super trend, right? If this is a super trend here, the Nasdaq weekly, well then you can trade S1 on the 240. I don't see anything here, but that looks pretty nice for an S3, right? We've got a pullback into the 21 and the 34. So just focus on S1, and we get there. Thank you.